bigger acts that played a part in my sexuality as a woman, as a young woman, was when I was raped in college. That.
Color me red, 'cause I wanna feel your bloodshed. Color me red, color me red, color me blue.
Hey, it's Jasmine here from Ironwear, and thank you so much for joining me on another video. I have amazing friend and rare sister Danielle, soon to be Evan.
Yes.
Joining me, and congratulations.
Thank you.
When is the wedding?
October 10th.
All right.
Yes.
And so she is going to be sharing about the topic that is often kind of like pushed under the rug. Very uncomfortable to talk about, but she dared to do it today. We're going to be talking about child sexual abuse, and more specifically for her, molestation and rape. And I just want to share a statistic. It's 1 out of 4 girls have experienced and are victims of child sexual abuse, and it's 1 out of 6 boys. And then another statistic website shared that 70 to 73% of those who are victims go on to become predators and become sexual abusers. So I'm just going to want to ask Danielle to share your experience of sexual abuse and that first experience that you did have.
Okay. My first experience was back when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I had a friend that, we were thick as thieves and growing up together, and our mothers were very good friends. Our mothers went to church together, they sang in the choir together. Our mothers were good friends. And so it's quite natural for us to be like this. And one particular night on a sleepover over at her house, it was standard procedure. She would sleep in her bed. I had a sleeping bag, and if she was over at my house, it'd have been vice versa. I found her inside my sleeping bag. I found her.
But what was your initial thought when she came?
I couldn't even tell you my initial thought because these are rare sisters watching the video. We don't have a bleep noise, but that's real. That's real. That's real. But I mean, of course, it's a shock. It's definitely a terrifying fear of what is going on, and do I scream, do I not scream? But you're processing all of these thoughts in a matter of seconds. And you're looking, because you have to remember, if I was asleep, so you wake up and you're like, well, where am I? Am I where I'm supposed to be? What's going on? And you're looking for some type of something, but you don't know what to do. So it's really more about, ultimately, I would say it's like a shock of where you are. But needless to say, that started, and that went on for at least 2 to 3 years, until I got to a point where my mother would ask me if I wanted to go over to this friend's house. And I would say, no, I didn't want to go. Or, I would kind of be hesitant about it. And she would ask me, why, what's wrong? Of course, because her thought is, Mom, oh, you guys are best buddies. What happened? Right. You're BFs. We were BFFs before BFFs existed, So, I was just like, no, I don't want to. No, I really didn't feel like it. And, as I got older and came into my own way, because of course this friend was older than me. So I just, at one point because I would try to break the friendship off and say, oh, well, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I don't want you to come over. I don't want to go over your house, whatever. And, I would be threatened. Well, I'm going to tell your mother, and I'm going to tell your mother that you did this to me, and that, what makes you think that somebody's going to believe you over believing me, or because there were times it happened at my house. So it wasn't even just but it was very, when you look at it, had to be strategic on this person's part, because it was always, there was, I grew up in a house and I had, toys, I had a play area, and if I was in there, and there'd be laughing and carrying on and whatnot, and I guess it would not phase. I don't know.
And so that's what I want to ask you. Since the very beginning of that experience, did you feel compelled to tell someone, tell mom, tell someone, and did you feel the need, or did you kind of question, would mom believe me? How do I tell her? Would it break her heart? Like, what was your thought of?
I never had a fear that she wouldn't believe me. My fear was that I would be in trouble. That was my fear. And I had seen the movies, you know, they used to show you those movies, and you know, back then you said those after school specials that came on at 3:45 or whatever. And so I knew that what was happening was not correct, but I was afraid that there would be some penalty for it, even though I never got that inclination from my mother that.
But then your friend did threaten you that if you tell anyone, she'll switch it up. Right. So there was some manipulation going on. Right. And you being young and just being a child, definitely. Of course, you want to be as confident, because I don't think for you to even make sense of your feelings at that age, there's just a lot going on. So, okay, so do you share with me that experience? You said it happened again. Not this time you were molested, but the second time you were raped. Yes. Can you just share that experience as much as you can? Yeah. I know it definitely was graphic, and you were as graphic as you would like, but I want you to share that experience, college, and who was it? Was it a person who was off the street, a stranger? Kind of help us out. Okay.
Well, in college, I was raped. I was about 17 or 18 years old. I want to say it was definitely freshman year. It was actually my second semester freshman year. I remember now. Wasn't first. Second semester freshman year, it was an athlete. You know, it's almost like one of those classic Lifetime horror movie / you know, tearjerker things. And it was an athlete, and in a dorm room on campus. It was in his suite, you know, room suite, and he shared a bathroom kind of thing. And there were people next door in the next room, who I'm pretty sure 99.9% of me knows that they heard me. You know, heard the struggle, heard, you know, the back and forth, you know, and it, you know, of course it happened. I have no idea how long it took, you know, it felt like an eternity, but I don't know how long it was in reality. And then I am remembering having to take that dorm was, it was someone I knew, of course, but that dorm was all the way across campus. And I remember having to take that long walk home, all the way back to my room, and getting back to my room and not knowing what to say to my roommate. She kind of looked at me like, "What's up?" Yeah. But I didn't know what to say, and I was just numb. I couldn't cry. I couldn't scream. I couldn't process everything that had happened, because I was angry, but part of me was just, again, a ball of emotion.
And it's almost as if you had to, right then, as soon as you opened your dorm room door, it's almost as if you had to act like nothing had happened.
Exactly. And then after that, I did start to get threats from him, you know, about, you know, if things came out, again, that same kind of similar scenario, parallel, you know, if things had come out, or if, you know, if you divulge this information, or, you know, if you think whatever, then it got really out of hand.
And I thank you for sharing that, because it is in college where a lot of victims are vulnerable. Right. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, away from your family, away from the environment that you do know of. And so anything that's new, you feel a sense of vulnerability. And that is the prime place where a lot of people are abused, whether it's verbally, emotionally, physically, or sexually. And so what can you share to women in college, girls in college who has had this happen to them in college, been raped, sexually abused? What can you share with them that you wish someone would have shared with you when you were going through?
I think there's no way to prepare for it. So you can't say, you know, your parents say, you know, you don't accept candy from strangers, and you don't, you know, when someone offers to give you a ride, you don't do that. You can't say don't date, and you can't say don't speak to someone you're attracted to. You can't say that. But trusting your inner gut, trusting the Holy Spirit within you that shows you the red flags. Because if I think back, because remember, it's someone I knew, when I think back to their behavior prior to, and still being, you know, even though I was 17, still being young in Christ at that time. So I was definitely not to say it was my fault in any way. I'm not saying that, but I will say that if I look back on it now, I can see that there was a flag that I ran. because there's people I believe people show you who they are.
Yeah.
They may not come out right and say, I'm a womanizer.
Yeah.
But there's an inkling of something. Right. And whether it's a conversation they have on the phone with their mother and you catch a tone in the voice that's, ooh, what's that about? You know? Or is it, you know, in the case of being someone that could do this, I knew that this person, even though he assured me many times, because I said outright, I don't want to deal with anybody that's, drunk and carrying on all kinds of stuff. And I had seen that. But then I got but baby, it's not like that. You know, I just, just one time, it was a party, me, my teammates, blah, blah. But it was the flag. Yeah. And I had stood there and said, this is what I want. And what I will not deal with and I still ran the light.
So you lowered your standards in many ways.
Yeah, in a desire to feel love, which is what a lot of us feel, unfortunately, which was not validated. I don't think enough. I think it was there. The presence was there growing up, but it wasn't enough for what I needed. But I can't blame my mother because she didn't know what happened. Yeah. Because had she known, she would have. I think she would have reacted and protected me a lot differently. Mm-hmm. Right.
And I definitely can relate to jumping. Mm-hmm. Leaping,
yes, hurdling over
some red flags, especially in college. Why? Because I'm a church baby growing up, and so I didn't know anything outside of church, and so just the newness of being on your own and having that just being naive in a lot of areas. A lot of innocence was still there, but like you were saying, it's so hard. Why? Because you're on your own to sometimes pick up on those red flags by yourself. And I know for myself in college, I held a lot of things in secret because I was ashamed. Yes. And so those people who were around me to help me to see those flags, I definitely pushed them away. Right. And so just for sisters who are in college, don't know your situation, don't know your experiences. But if anything has happened to you where it's compromised your integrity or made you feel uncomfortable, stand confident in your feelings. And I think we oftentimes justify how we're feeling for the other person, or we don't want to sound silly, or we don't want to jump to conclusions. That feeling, that deeper feeling, is for a reason. And if you just trust that feeling, even if you're wrong, better safe than sorry. Right. Definitely don't understand the amount of pain and just shame that goes along with feeling like you're the problem, like you were the cause of it. Right. But no guilt, like you're not the reason for your abuse. Right. And that targets a lot of women's self-esteem. And how did that affect your relationships? Not only relationships with the opposite sex, but your relationships in general. How did that experience affect you moving forward?
I think as anyone, it absolutely shattered what little I had. I didn't have a lot to begin with. Maybe I had that much. So to take my little bit and then just completely demolish my little bit that I had was agonizing. I guess that's the only other word I can think of to describe it. It totally took me into a dark place where I remember thinking to myself that I was just spoiled goods, damaged goods. I know it's like an old term, that they used to use back in the 20s, 30s, you're spoiled, you're damaged.
Like that's enough.
Right. Well, or that it was just like it was dirty, it was not worth, it was expired, it wasn't fresh, it wasn't,
like someone to be cherished or valued.
Right. It was just like, the stuff you find in your junk drawer and you're like, why is this here? Versus the stuff that you keep, your jewelry that you keep up away in your nice jewelry box, and you always make sure you put it right back in the box, that kind of stuff. I felt like that random fork, that people find. It was horrible. So as a result of that, after that gentleman that I encountered, as far as romantically, it was just, whatever needed to be done to please, and if that meant sex, it meant sex. If that, I never got into drugs or alcohol or things like that, but it was more like, well, this is what I have to do to get this attention, to get this feeling of belonging, of being loved, even though none of it was love. It was all
to fill
hormones,
that, to fill that temporary void. Right. Time.
Right. It was terrible. So I went through like 2 phases of that, of, being, dealing with guys that probably had no business being with, or that didn't take me, or that probably maybe even could have potentially been something, but because I had no stock in myself, that sends somebody that is about something the other way. Because nobody wants to be with someone that has absolutely no self-confidence or self-worth in themselves. So it went that way. And then after that, it went into a phase of just being in longer relationships that were absolutely terrible. But thinking, okay, well, I have someone, so let me hang on, even no matter how horrible you are to me, no matter how much you emotionally abuse me, how much you, not physically abuse me, maybe you financially abuse me, which people forget is real. Financial abuse is real, let me hold this, which is, a whole nother story we could do on financial abuse.
Now there is, and there is something else that besides the sexual abuse that you experienced in college, there are a lot of things that kind of attributed to you being in relationships that you knew were not good for you. And so her experiences are definitely much more unique because Dee, you lost your mom in 2007. And so a lot of things were just a combination of hurt upon hurt upon hurt and loss. And so I know you shared with me before that sometimes staying in those relationships, even though it wasn't good, to kind of keep you from being alone. And so just kind of touch on that. When was that feeling of loneliness much more important than the quality of your relationship?
Definitely after my mother passed. It was keeping the constant and not dealing with the variable. I did not want to have so many variables because after dealing with her passing, I did a lot of moving. I did a lot of, my mother passed the week I started a new job. And then I didn't end up keeping the job because I had to be out to handle her final arrangements and things like that. So I knew I couldn't keep the job because, they didn't know me from Adam. So it was just like, well, what are you doing, chick? Did you make this up? What, whatever. So then I had, finding a new job. And so I needed a constant. And being away from home because at the time I wasn't living near my family. So I still had to go home. I still had to be in an apartment by myself and be alone with my feelings and be alone with whatever I was dealing with at the time. And so for years after she passed, I really was just I say it to my friends a lot, I was just a walking dead woman. I just went from one thing to the next for years. You work, you go to church. It was just routine. I was just work, you go to church, you deal with, hey, how you doing, boo, da da da, blah blah, and you just work.
The
you go to
church answer, how you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored.
Oh, you're okay, I'm fine, whatever. And I was just, again, I can say numb, and it probably hasn't been for like I would say the last 30 now, so probably the last 3 to 4 years of my life where I've started coming out of that cycle. Where I started waking up again. Now, because I was just here.
Who or what helped you to heal from the abuse, heal from the loss of your mother, heal from having low self-esteem, heal from having to fill this void, constantly filling the void of loneliness? And who was there? Who helped you? What person was significant in your life? Because I can guarantee that all of the things that I've conquered and I've been healed from, and I've got loads left to heal. Let's just put that in perspective, because I feel like we're all broken in a sense, and that's why we need God. We're not perfect, but there was always someone who was very instrumental throughout that season of my life that has helped me to come to where I am today. For you, was it a number of people? Was it a particular organization? Like, what helped you along your journey of healing?
I think well, first, initially, as far as dealing with the rape act of itself, I remember when I was still living in Philadelphia, and there was a Kappa Alpha Psi program that they were doing about rape at UPenn. And I went by myself. I don't think any of my friends were going. And I went to Temple, and so I decided to go, go down the street, go to Penn, because I saw a flyer randomly. Maybe I was the only person on earth that saw this flyer, but I saw the flyer, and I went and sat in the back. It was in a big auditorium, and I sat in the back, and the lights were down because there was a presentation going on, and that's when it kind of sat and hit me, and I was like, okay, I need help. And that was kind of shortly after it happened, and I said I need help, but I attempted to go to like campus counseling and things like that, which are definitely things to utilize if their resources are there. I think also, that's total sidebar, but in our community, in our Black community, we are very anti mental health. And it's so important to get counseling, and we think that we can always, God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly, but God also ordains people to help you with mental health, right? And gives them the tools to help us with those things. And a lot of times we just say, oh, we go pray it away.
And I think sometimes it's with the stigma of I'm broken, or if I claim the label of Christian, that means I am perfect. I can't do no wrong. I don't need any help. Right. I'm supposed to be helping more people than people helping me. Right. But then that's where the greatest testimony comes from of our faith and our Christianity, knowing that we were broken. Right. We are not perfect, but yet God loves us the same. And that we can be cared for, so that after we've been cared for, I know it says in scripture, I don't remember where, but that after we've been helped and healed, then we go heal our brother and our sister. Right. So it's just it's a stigma, unfortunately. Right. But we're hoping that the more people expose the testimonies and share their journey. And of course, God is extremely able. Yes. But He definitely gives us wisdom and have people, like you were saying, tools to get help. Beyond our control.
Right. God makes doctors. So, why don't we utilize them in all forms? But to help. So, that program really helped me too, because that kind of turned the light on for me. I said, okay, I need to get some help outside of myself. I need to see someone. So I did have some sessions with the counselor on campus. I went to, student health and went and made an appointment and went to go see some of the counselors there. My church in Philadelphia played a big help just in being there. They did not know what was going on, but just in being good church family and being for someone to, it's nice when someone says, I missed you, I didn't see you, those kind of things are great. So they were wonderful to me, and just being a family, because I didn't tell my family. So my family didn't know. So I was literally walking around with this myself. I didn't even tell my friends, my roommate, my close friends that were in college with me until after college. So no one knew, and I was really just walking around with it. And then as I got older, different organizations that I just came in touch with as I started to grow in my spiritual walk. God brought me in touch with some really wonderful people. I actually have a friend who is a therapist. And she's a minister. She's a ordained minister, and she is a therapist. A licensed therapist. So she was my combo for both. In a way, and she actually used the same analogy like you said about things you were just trauma after trauma after trauma, and she used it. She always said, Danielle, you're like a Coke bottle that just, you get shaken up, and then somebody puts you back down on the table, and then somebody else comes by and shakes you up, puts you back down on the table, powerful. And then somebody shakes you again, until the last person shakes you up, and you explode, and you get to a point, because I was at that point where all the soda was on the table, and I couldn't put the soda back in the bottle. So I had no choice, and she's like, you just have to let God pour into you. You just have to. She's like, you just have to let Him just. No one else is going to be able to fill you up. No one's going to walk by with another bottle of Coke and fill you back up again. You have to let Him fill you up. And you have to let what's on the table stay on the table, and don't pick it back up again and just...
Now I want you to talk to that sister who's watching, and what would you say to her who has been sexually abused before?
First thing, if you are currently being sexually abused, raped, however you want to label it, violated, the first thing you need to do is end it. You need to get out. If it's a physical abuse situation, you need to get help and you need to make your plan to leave. But definitely ending the relationship is part one. Number two is acknowledging that it's not your fault. There is nothing that you could have done. There's nothing that you could have said that would warrant any of that behavior. There is nothing on this earth that you could have done to another person that would condone that person violating you in such a way. Definitely seek counseling and get help in your own time. I know it's not something that we're comfortable doing right away. We don't want to walk into an office and say, help me, this is what happened. But definitely, if you are a woman of faith, I encourage you to seek a counselor that is also spiritually based, that is a faith base of Christian base. So that way you can get that understanding in both Christianity and your Christian walk and in the therapy of dealing with yourself and how you are feeling. But then also too, remembering and being honest in your prayer and in your walk with God, that how you are feeling and what you are feeling, because those feelings are valid no matter how off they are. Even if one moment you're angry and the next minute you're terrified, it's still valid. It doesn't make you crazy. It doesn't make you off the wall. It makes you it makes you human. It makes you a woman who feels what has happened to her. That's all it is. And it definitely submerging yourself into the Spirit of God and allowing Him to heal you. Now, healing is definitely not a fun process. It's not an overnight process, but it's a constant day-to-day decision. It's like someone who's dealt with alcohol or drugs. You have to wake up every single day and value yourself. Wake up every single day and say, I'm going to breathe in and out. I'm going to survive. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to buy myself that blouse that I love, that I felt so pretty in, because I deserve it. I'm going to pray. I'm going to grow spiritually. And you have to wake up every day and make those decisions and allow God to minister to you. And do not reject the help that He sends to you. And always wondering and keeping in mind that your help may not always come in the package that you think it's going to come in. Your help may come from a friend. Your help may come from your coworker. Your help may come from another man, or whomever. However, you just be mindful and open to the Holy Spirit as the Lord works through you and heals you.
And that's really good. Thanks so much for sharing. And just imagine, Dee, if you just laid there in your pain,
right?
If you decided not to get up, if you decided not to confront your past, you want to be here to help another sister along their healing journey. So that's just the beauty in healing. That's the beauty in the process. And sister, just know that you do have a testimony.
Yes.
Blessed is your life story.
Yes.
And there's nothing that could have been done, could have been said to negate the fact that you are valuable.
Yes.
And no matter what has happened in your past, your future is bright through healing, through God. And so I pray that you find what you're looking for with the Rare Organization. And you have sisters who definitely love you, will be here for you to help you along your healing journey. If you would like to connect with Dee, please email us at info@raream.org, and we'll make sure she definitely gets your inquiries and your questions. But post below the video, and please share with another sister who you may feel needs the affection and needs the encouragement of knowing that this is not it and there's more to come. So again, thank you so much for spending your time with us on another Rare video. And we definitely hope that your life is made the better because you have journeyed and you've chosen Rare Organization to help you along your purity journey. If nothing else, Dee, I think we're good to go. Until next time.
So all I feel is great. All I feel is great. All I feel is great. All I feel is great.